Yo, what is going on everybody? My name is Refill and today I'm speaking about the best keybinds for Fortnite and optimal keybinds in general. So if you do like this video and it does help you out, please consider dropping a like. It really does help me out. And if you do want to see more content just like this, then please consider subscribing. And also if you do want to support me, please consider using code BLURS in the Fortnite item shop. Today's question of the day is, are optimal keybinds worth it? I'll be pinning one of my favourite comments. Enjoy the video. Okay, so optimal keybinds in Fortnite. Optimal keybinds obviously just means basically, in a way, the best keybinds that you can have. Now, in my opinion, comfort is still more important than optimal. So you should definitely go for something that's comfortable for you. And if optimal keybinds aren't comfortable for you, then you should use something that is comfortable. But I'm just going to be obviously speaking about a few different keybinds and going in depth on why certain keybinds are useful. So obviously we're going to start with some of the most important binds there are, which is the build binds. Now in my opinion, I think mouse buttons are really useful. So I use mouse button for wall, and the reason mouse buttons are so useful is because you can keep your fingers on the WSD keys, which is really good in like box fights if you can be using WSD, because you can use it to like go around, and also tunneling in and in, which is why, you know, the term optimal is for build binds is actually having building keybinds where you don't actually use any of your fingers off WSD. So you're only really going to be using your pinky and your thumb, nothing else, because obviously I use W to press forward, D, you know, and A. So obviously I don't really want to use these fingers for my building. So instead, I actually use my thumb for my floor, and I use my pinky for my cone. And obviously, you know, I use my mouse buttons because they're on my mouse. I don't actually have to lift my fingers off WSD to use my mouse buttons, which is great. And also I think for taking walls, you know, literally mouse buttons are right there. You don't have to move fingers, so you can play stuff really quickly, in my opinion. So if I'm on with classics and all that, it's really good. So that's, you know, the reason for build keybinds, you know, why they should be optimal. It generally just gives you better movement, and movement can be really important, you know, in just trying to outplay your opponent. And also just general the ease of your builds and that. The next part I'm going to speak about is your weapon keybinds. Now in my opinion, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 X or something is just fine in my opinion. But however, I've got mine set up slightly differently. For my keybinds, I actually go 2, E, R, 4, X. Now obviously these are a little bit weird. The reason I've used my pickaxe is because in box fights, you know, I want to be able to plant a pickaxe quite quickly, and it's right next to my shotgun. But mainly, obviously, the reason I got my shotgun set to E instead of 3 is just because E is a little bit closer. But it really isn't essential at all. I'd recommend having your shotgun on either 2 or 3 or something similar to that. Just go with what's most comfortable to you. It really doesn't matter too much. Obviously, there is an advantage when doing moves like this. If you have your shotgun, for example, on Q, you want to be able to go left. But if you've got your shotgun on Q, you can't go left as much. When you've got it on the same thing you used to press D, then you're actually going to be able to strafe left a bit more. But obviously, again, that is nothing essential. That is just my opinion, and honestly, you should go with what's comfortable for you. Either, you know, I think honestly to everyone, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and edit on E or F is fine. And then coming on to edit, in my opinion, I think editing with your index finger is to be honest probably the best. Now, obviously, although this does mean you have to take your finger off a movement keybind, in my opinion, because editing is very spammy, because you need to spam a lot in editing, I believe it's very useful to have either on E, F, or G. In my opinion, E or F, as they're a lot closer. And if you're using G, maybe consider changing on to E or F. I have tried thumb editing, and thumb editing is fine. I would recommend if you are using either left shift or V or anything like that to edit, and maybe consider using edit on release, as generally you can't spam those as fast. But at the end of the day, if it works for you and feels better and you are better with it, then you should definitely go with that. So in my opinion, you should use E or F for edit. Just try both of them out, see which one you prefer. With your weapon keybinds, try out again with shotgun. You could have shotgun on 2 if that feels good for you, or you could have shotgun on 3 if you prefer that. It's honestly personal preference, and this whole thing doesn't matter too much. It's honestly just comes down to comfort and personal preference for that one. So the next thing I'm going to speak about is some little keybind tricks, such as the scroll wheel reset. I think you should definitely use this. It's just a very free keybind, and also scroll wheel pickup as well is obviously very useful because it just saves a bind. In terms of some binds where you might require more aim, such as editing, usually when you're editing you're going to aim straight after, so you kind of want to keep those on your keyboard. And the reason for that is actually because when you use your mouse buttons or the scroll wheel, although they are very good binds and very easy to use, they do actually slightly change your mouse grip. Now this can affect your aim, so if you have your shotgun on your scroll wheel or your mouse buttons, it can slightly affect your aim. But there again, there are some top tier pros using that, so it is completely up to you. In terms of edit on release, I believe this is something that everybody should try, but personally I don't use it, and that's just because I feel like I have more control without it. But it's something everybody should try. If you feel like you benefit from it, then go for it. It's completely personal preference, in my opinion. And also double edit binds, I believe, in my opinion, they are not really that worth it. Unless you do want to have some crazy looking creative builds to put in a montage, they are pretty cool for that. But in actual practical use, I believe that you can edit, you know, really fast on one finger and not feel the need to have double edit binds. So now going into my settings, just to show you the best keybinds. So in terms of settings, obviously confirm edit on release, that's up to you. If you want to use scroll wheel pickup, make sure you have tap to search / interact on. And also in keybinds, here are the keybinds. So obviously move left, I have B and N because they're on my thumb and they're not on the same. Now obviously double movement binds just allow you to be able to move a little bit more fluently, and sometimes in endgame, you know, you have a little bit more view that you can use. So I definitely recommend giving them a try, but they obviously aren't completely necessary, so that's completely up to you. So going through to the keybinds, you've got obviously the movement binds to WSD, I'd recommend that. Auto run Z, it doesn't really matter too much what your auto run is, I've just got mine set to Z. Fire, obviously the regular stuff. Reload I got set to 3 just because mine's on R, but honestly that's not necessary. You can just have it on R and use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for your weapon slots. Use, I've got set to mouse wheel up because it's very easy to press. Harvest tool I got set to Q. I'd recommend having your harvesting tool set to a different keybind than your shotgun, just because obviously in box fights you want to quickly switch from your harvesting tool to your shotgun, but obviously it's still not necessary. Weapon slot 1 I got 2 for my AR, E, and then it's just R because that's right next to E, and then 4 because that's near R, and then X, which I press with my thumb just because that's very close. Obviously Wall is my mouse button because it's a very easy button to press and it is optimal. V, I use my floor, I press this with my thumb because obviously I use V over left shift for my floor just because I can spam it a little bit faster than left shift. And then for my roof I use left shift because it's just right there and I don't have to lift my finger off WASD. Trap I use tab, not a very important bind, so I've just got it set to tab. Repair upgrade I've got set to C, again not a super important bind, so I've just got it set there to a spare keybind. Rotate I've got set to my reload, which is 3. Change building material, right mouse button. Building edit I've got set to F, and obviously I've got the scroll wheel reset. If you do want to have scroll wheel reset, all you do is put your secondary binds on your mouse wheel and then your reset building edit on your mouse wheel and you have it set up. Push torque I've just got set to T. Emote I've got set to F1, and these are all my major binds. For toggle inventory I use left alt. Obviously you can use cursor mode if you want, but I just use left alt as toggle inventory, I quite like that. I'm just going to quickly scroll through all of these keybinds. I pretty much use the default ones for here. And yeah, those are all my optimal keybinds and why you should use them. In terms of should you switch, I still believe comfort is way more important, so you can try these keybinds out if you want, but if you feel more comfortable on other binds at the end of the day, give everything a try. And obviously with weapon slots I'd recommend, you know, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and just personal preference for whether you should use shotgun on 2 or 3. That doesn't really matter too much. Obviously it's a bonus that you can do that, but it's not essential. And in terms of optimal keybinds, again, it's a bonus if you have them, but if you don't, you know, look at some of the best players in the world do not use optimal keybinds. For example, Metro actually still uses the F keybinds to build, and he is one of the best in the world. So it really doesn't matter, but it is a bonus if you do have them. So at the end of the day, you should definitely go with comfort. You know, try out a few different sets of keybinds. If you can use the mouse buttons, you know, you should definitely give them a try. They're very useful, but it is not essential to have optimal keybinds. So you should definitely just try out different keybinds and just go with comfort. But if you do just want some quick optimal keybinds, then here is the guide for you. I hope this video did help you out. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you did learn something new this video. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next one. You've been awesome.